It is 8 minutes past the hour. The Sunrise Morning Show continues. I'm Matt Swaim, joined now by Kevin Schmiesing. He's the author of A Catholic Pilgrimage Through American History. Kevin, good morning.
Hey, Matt, good morning.
So our first piece of Catholic history this week, we celebrate the anniversary of a founding of a university. Well, actually, not just a university in Mexico, but the University of Mexico.
Yeah, that's right. I guess you could say our theme this week is New Spain. Both of our pieces are from that part of the world. The University of Mexico this week in 1551, Matt, it was one of the earliest universities in the New World, 85 years before Harvard. After the conquest of Hernando Cortez in 1521, the former capital of the Aztec Empire became the capital of New Spain and was renamed Mexico City. Colonization proceeded, but along with it, evangelization, and one dimension of that was education. Probably the very first educational institution in the Americas was a school for Indians founded by a Franciscan friar in the Mexico region. The Bishop of Mexico founded a colegio, which is roughly equivalent to our high school in Mexico City in 1534, and so soon there was need for an institution of higher learning. The governor of New Spain initiated the process, and on September 21st, this week in 1551, the King of Spain and the Holy Roman Emperor, Charles V, issued a royal charter for the university. It was also approved by the Pope for theological studies, so its formal name was the Royal and Pontifical University of Mexico. It had chairs in theology, scripture, canon law, civil law, the arts, and grammar. It soon added medicine and native languages. For some 300 years, it was the premier university of northern New Spain. It ran into some trouble after Mexican independence as the forces of secularization swept across Mexico. It was closed finally in 1865. The top university in Mexico today is the National Autonomous University of Mexico, founded as a secular university in 1910, but it's sometimes considered the successor to the original University of Mexico, which had its start this week in 1551.
Well, there are probably a lot of institutions of higher learning in the United States of America who think they have prestigious and ancient foundings, and they hear 1551 and are a little taken aback. But let's talk about the first seminarians from the California missions and what we can celebrate from them this week.
Yeah, it was this week in 1834, and a quick tip of the hat here to my fellow historian, Christian Clifford. He came across my Catholic pilgrimage book a while back. He contacted me out of the blue and alerted me to this dimension of the story of the California missions, which I had been totally unaware of up to that point. Matt, you and I have talked many times about the missions, this chain of outposts founded by the Franciscans, initially under the leadership of St. Junipero Serra. The 18th of the 21 missions was San Luis Rey, which is today in the city of Oceanside in Southern California. It was there that Pablo Tac was born in 1822. His mother and father were both native Californians who had converted to Catholicism. So Pablo was baptized as an infant. He and another native boy, Agapito Amamex, also born of convert parents, showed considerable intellectual and spiritual promise. So in 1834, a friar from Mission San Luis, Father Antonio Peri, took the two with him to travel to Rome for seminary training. Pablo Tac was 12 years old when he and Agapito enrolled at the College of the Propaganda Fide, today the Pontifical Urban University, as the first native California seminarians. It was this week, September 23rd, 1834. Among their professors was the hyper-polyglot Cardinal Giuseppe Mezzofonte. We covered him, Matt, a few years ago, so some listeners might remember that. Mezzofonte was fluent in about 40 languages and had knowledge of many others. In his position at the church's mission university, you might say he kind of collected languages, so he made a study of these Californians' native tongue. For his part, by his fourth year, Pablo was proficient in Latin, and he wrote an ethnographic account of California's native peoples. We still have it. It's titled De Californiensibus. Unfortunately, neither Agapito nor Pablo would be the first native Californian priest, because Agapito died in Italy in 1837, presumably of disease of some kind, we don't really know. Pablo died of tuberculosis in Rome in 1841, so he was not quite 20 years old. It wasn't until 1977 that a man of native California blood would become a priest, a descendant of Mission San Jose Indians, ordained for the Diocese of Oakland. But the first seminarians from the California missions went to Rome this week in 1834.
Well, that is absolutely fascinating. on so many. I have so many questions. I wish this segment was a whole lot longer. But you've also reminded me in this that there are probably a whole bunch of listeners out there who know some really interesting tidbits from their local dioceses and the history of the places they're listening from. That I'm sure they'd want to get in touch with you to share. So if they want to get in touch with you, Kevin, maybe find a copy of your book. Is there a good way to do so?
Sure. You can find it anywhere, Amazon or any online bookseller, and a lot of Catholic bookstores sell it also.
And you can always find Kevin through the Sunrise Morning Show website, sunrisemorningshow.com. Kevin, thank you as always. Have a great day.
Thank you, Matt. You too.